The panel today was discussing partnerships for achieving sustainable development goals and the 2030 agenda. We were looking at different experiences by different countries, like Jordan, like Nigeria, like Turkey, like Indonesia, as well as looking at the perspective, Tunisia, and also the perspective of the MDBs from IDB, the World Bank, or UNDP, for example. Partnerships are very much at the heart of achieving the SDGs. It's the partnership in terms of designing the roadmap for each country to deliver on the SDG agenda. It's a partnership in terms of the innovations that are needed, because the goals are very much interconnected, and what every country needs to focus on to achieve the biggest transformation will be different depending on the circumstances and the development status of each country. We looked at partnerships that have to be quite real and broad in the design of the process, in the monitoring and the evaluation, as well as in the implementation. We're talking about partnerships that have to include parliamentarians, civil society, private sector, academia, and both national as well as localized at decentralized levels. And we're also looking at partnerships for financing, because each government and everywhere in the world, we know that achieving the SDGs is going to cost about $2.5 trillion of public investment. This is way beyond what the aid that exists in the world. So the Addis Ababa Finance for Development agenda, whereby we have to look at maximizing partnerships with the private sector, making sure that we're dealing with transparency, fighting corruption, so that capital flight that leaves countries, so that it is well invested to achieve the government budgets, looking at the way we change investment frameworks by governments so that they're aligned with the SDGs and they are maximizing through the World Bank, for example, cascading approach, and also looking at the cumulative needs. You need to leave no stone unturned, meaning you need both your budget resources, you need your Islamic finance, you need your international finance, you need private sector investment, you need your PPPs, public-private partnerships, and you need all the other tools of social impact investments, zakat investments, and so on. This is truly going to be a tremendous challenge for the world, but at the same time it's a great opportunity. If each country is aligned well, is true to itself, to its own citizens, is participatory in a real way in terms of developing its SDG roadmap and implementation, and looks at maximizing all of these types of partnerships, I think we can see in the next 15 years some of the biggest transformation that can potentially happen. I only mention one last point, which is the need to factor in the challenges of many of the IDB countries that are facing specifically the issue of fragility or neighboring conflicts, or hosting a lot of percentages of forced displaced people like refugees or economic migrants. And that angle can be extremely disruptive to many of the countries in terms of their development path, and should be factored in. I think there is a global movement that is expanding. I really think we all have to be relentless at this. We have to get out from business as usual, as government speaking, and truly create real partnerships, make sure that we empower parliamentarians and NGOs and civil society and media to put pressure, and build the right partnerships with the private sector and civil society to really galvanize a very strong bottom-up movement for the SDGs in each country.